Today's September 22nd, the first day of fall or autumn or Skeens Day did not disappoint. Nick York's first home run today. We're checking in a corner outfield tonight too. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
How we doing, man?
By the way, I put you under the bus when I put all the posts. I said we're starting at 9:30 because Jake got held up at work, so it's all on you, man.
Yeah. Yep. Who would have thought? It's freaking fudge and ice cream, and I get held up at work.
I actually just got your text. Good thing you called me. Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, I'm going to turn this off. So Michael from 412 is here, but for whatever reason, there we go again. My little comment thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Not chat up. Yep, I'm going to reopen that, see if we can get that chat to show up this time. It's a fun thing when you do things on your own. There we go. We got it. Go ahead and throw something in there, Mike. We'll pop you up on the screen now. Just a little refresh button fixes everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
How you doing? Other than, being stayed work.
Man, you're asking me a personal question.
All right, we don't have to do that.
I'm going to go ahead and go there. Man, I slept on my neck wrong something. Man, it hurts.
You'll never get over it. The older you get, the longer those things last.
Well, yeah. Well, plus I've had neck surgery, so.
Right, that's true. That's true. Skeens has a way of making things not feel as terrible.
Right.
You know what I mean? Paul Skeens throws an absolute gem today. It was not the case with the other two starting pitchers, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Let's go ahead and give Nick York his claps right now. First Major League homer. I went down to the game today and met Jim Rosati from NS9 there. And we sat there, and it was right when he said... he was talking about how he doesn't know how helpful he is if he only hits singles. And then he was choking up on the bat, and he goes, oh, he's choking up. I was like, we said that not too long ago. Chokes up every time he gets to 2 strikes. And he's like, oh no, this was earlier, right? Earlier, that was later. Hold on. I got 2 things. So he said, I don't know how good he's going to be if all he hits is singles. Very next pitch, he hit the bomb. And then later he talked about choking up, and he said he's got really good bat to ball skills, swing and a miss, strike 3. I was like, you got to stop. Sherrod's here in the chat. He said another 2-win Pittsburgh Sunday. So happy days there. All is fine if you care about the Pirates at this point. Which, if you're listening to this, you do. You do care about the Pirates. What's up, Jim? Long time no see. Jim, we were on TV today. I got pictures sent to me and whatever else. So, we got the God Bless America. I don't know if I'm yawning or if I'm just, sitting there with a dumb look with my mouth open, but... it's pretty funny.
Probably admiring Oneil Cruz's bomb.
Yeah. Or the 4 ladies singing God Bless America. I'm just kidding.
Woo.
I was like, what an age range. They were young. They were old. They all had their red on. Listen, Jake, 35,000 people there on the last home game. And it must be nice to have the last home game on a weekend. Right. You know what I mean? So, and Jake's going on the IL. Yeah, Jim's got a bum foot right now. So you're with your neck.
I got a bum. There's all kinds of stuff going on, right?
Jake's always hurt.
The knee looks good though. The knee looks good. She's coming along nicely.
That's good. That's your knees.
I got all kinds of, listen, I got this. I got this little thing on my nose right now.
Yeah.
That was like a little pre-cancerous skin thing they zapped off the other day.
All right.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sun stuff.
Maybe a little SPF once in a while probably won't hurt.
Yeah, I think so. Especially when you got a giant nose like I do.
Easy.
I got the same one. Anyway, guys, let's talk about the pitching a little bit before we. Oh, corner outfield, we're going to talk later. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the pitching because I was upset at Keller's start. Now, this is a guy who, we've extended, a guy who needed to kind of show up this year. We kind of gave him a pass last year with that ERA because we said, well, they had to leave him in extra so he could eat up innings and all that stuff. And then we're doing the same thing. And they're not doing that now. Like, they don't leave him in and his like, last year it felt like, well, he really should have been taken out in the 5th, but they let him pitch the 6th and he gave up 2 more runs. 3 more runs.
They were doing that because like our bullpen wasn't very good. And I feel like it's not the same, but it's a little bit of the same. Like our bullpen's still not good anymore.
Well, they were doing it because we had 2 starters.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? At least now we have a starting rotation.
Yeah.
So
decent one.
Man, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it because you and I looked at it a little bit just a second ago, and it's really just been blow up games, right? His August and his September have been bad, but that's because he had the game in LA where he gave up 8 runs, the game in San Diego where he gave up 7, and then this game 8. And it's kind of like, yeah, those ones are going to like ruin a month.
Mm-hmm.
But like after those 2 blow up games on the West Coast, he came back, he faced, I forget at this point. I think I left it up. It wasn't Miami, right? No, it was Texas. 7 innings, shutout, 9 Ks, like he was dealing.
Yeah.
And so it felt like, oh, okay. It was like a breath of fresh air. And then it was like, whatever.
And that was in Texas, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was in Texas. And then like a whatever start against Chicago. And then, I don't know, man. It's just been interesting. I expected to see him hold that ERA to under 4. And just solidify himself as, hey, I'm a good pitcher. His salary goes up $10 million next year.
He's going to have to sit down in the offseason and figure out who Mitch Keller is. What pitcher are you? Because I feel like he does this. He'll pitch to a specific style, and he has a good outing. Then I feel like he's doing something completely different. He gets rocked, and then he'll go do something different. He'll pitch okay. And like Mitch Keller needs to pitch to Mitch Keller's strengths. Throw out pitches that don't work. Maybe not add pitches, but like lean on your good stuff, man. Just lean on your good stuff. If that means you go down to a 4-pitch mix instead of a 5 or 6-pitch mix.
Oh, you're telling him to not throw the cutter? Uh-oh.
I'm telling him to figure out what works and what doesn't, and let's lean on what does.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he gets into trouble when he tries to. We're done trying to make things work in game. Like, if you think it's perfected once you're in the bullpen, once you're throwing your offset side sessions and all that stuff, when you feel 100% confident there, then you can bring it into a game. But let's make sure that we're leaning on our good stuff. I just feel like that's where he gets himself into most trouble. I don't want to use the term he tries to get cute because I don't really love that. But he just doesn't lean on his best pitches a lot, and it hurts him.
Michael's saying he didn't throw a lot of cutters, so that's good. All right, so how about Jared Jones? Obviously, the game started okay. And then, there you go. 9 cutters of 84 pitches. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's the cutter that gets hit a lot. Apparently it was everything in this one. So, but on to Jared Jones, who has a rough start in his own. He also was, I think he was at 385. This jumped him up to like a 4.14 ERA. I'm less upset about him being over 4, right? I'm less upset about that because he's a rookie. So that's not this big of a deal to me as it was for Mitch Keller. I thought it was important.
Right.
It was important that Keller finish under 4. I think there are times where, especially when a team is where they are right now, right? If the Pirates are not making the postseason, then I think you care a little bit more about things like that. So speaking of Keller dipping below 4, like I think he cares about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, if you're in the postseason, it's like, yeah, no big deal. I don't care. We're in the postseason and we've won 17 of my starts. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, one of those things that, that I like think about. When the team's not good, you think about those specific numbers and just little milestones, individual stats. There you go.
Right.
But Jared Jones, man, gosh, man, 85-mile-an-hour fastball in this game.
Really?
What do you do? Right? I mean, so the trainer comes out, and I think the one after that was like 92, and then there was 90, and then he got it back up a little bit, but not to 96. It was like 92, 93. How are you not getting him out of the game, man? Right. We're at this point in the season. Everybody's saying he's healthy. Everybody's saying there's no problem. Even if like nothing hurts, bro might just be gassed. And they're even talking about, he'll start his next start. And I'm kind of like, I'm doing one of the, because here's the thing. If he goes out there and he throws well and the velo's there, then we all go, okay, all right, he's probably fine. But if he doesn't, then we're saying that's the right move. But we spend all off season saying, who knows? Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's like that little bit of, I don't know what you do on that, but a team who spent the whole season being very cautious, specifically maybe motivated after what happened to Oviedo, maybe just, understanding that this is a problem everywhere. But I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
But another poor start.
He hasn't quite been the same since he's come back.
No, not
from
quite.
The IL.
No.
He's shown shades of it, but
right. It's been in moments, right? His last start was good. So like the idea that we kind of heard post game after we, I guess the post game didn't want to talk about the fact that they didn't take him out, but essentially the curveball wasn't there. And I think he barely even threw it at a certain point because it wasn't there. And then he's relying on other stuff. But to me, the whole story is the dip in velo and whether we're nervous or anything. So, all right, on to something good, right? Paul Skeens is ridiculous.
Beast.
Paul Skeens is absolutely ridiculous. ERA drops down to 1.99. 6 strikeouts on the changeup today. Go ahead and try to figure out what this dude's going to throw you.
Right.
You just have no idea. It's incredible.
I know what he's going to throw you every time. A chair.
What?
A chair.
Okay. Have a seat.
Throw him a chair. All
right. The pitcher lingo. I must have missed that one. Everybody else is like, duh. Yeah. Dude, it's just the historic stuff, right? Lowest ERA, first 22 career appearances, all starts since ERA was official in 1913. There's the 73-74 Steve Rogers at 195. Paul Skeens at 199. Wonder what Steve Rogers did in his 23rd start.
I was going to say, I wonder what he does in the 23rd.
Let's see if he can pass up Steve Rogers. But also, does that make you not?
Isn't that Captain America?
What?
Isn't Steve Rogers Captain America?
Dude, I have no idea.
Pretty sure his name was Steve Rogers.
Somebody look up what Steve Rogers did in his 23rd start, which, by the way, we had this conversation before. We don't have to get into it again. If it spans over 2 years, get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. It's got to be all in the same year. I think
it already does. It's 1973 to 74.
What? 73 to 70. That's what I'm saying, though. It spans over 2 years. That's what I'm saying. Then get out of here with that. Pit City What says his changeup is getting nasty, and this is actually big. When he came up, that changeup was good to lefties, right? It was not necessarily a weapon he was using against righties, and now he's just using it against everybody. This guy,
he threw that one change. I don't remember who the batter was. I had to get the cliff notes of the game, right?
Sure,
but he threw that changeup inside, like waist high. And dude, bro had no idea what to do with that. No clue.
Yeah.
He was so tied up.
Yeah. Unreal. He's just exciting. I mean, Pirates are where they are. The Reds are where they are. And I'm still, driving 3 hours by myself because Paul Skeens is starting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of where it is. Nick York hit his solo homer in the first inning. Oneil Cruz hit an absolute bomb. Is this the first show since 2020, or did he get that before our last one?
First one since.
First one? All right, let's do it. 2020 for Oneil Cruz. This is essentially his rookie season, Jake.
Yeah.
It's essentially his rookie season. This is his first full season. He goes 2020. What do you think, guys? Like, is it all there now? I mean, it feels like it. Are we saying 30 homers next year?
I mean, I don't see why not. Barring another injury or something, I see good things, man. Good things.
Good things. Yeah. Yeah. I did confirm, you and I had the conversation. Jim was telling me the same thing. That's still Michael A. Taylor's glove. You were right.
So.
Yeah.
Because he said it's working. I'm not getting rid of it.
Okay. It'd be funny if Taylor says you can have it, because we were talking about this today at the game, because it still has the gold on it. I don't know. Overall, very upsetting series against the Reds. Yeah. I thought, we'd handled the Reds pretty well all year. And I'm not going to overplay their starting rotation. Right? They had some good starters going. Mm-hmm. With the exception, I mean, today it was Hunter Green, but seemed like they're kind of rehabbing him here at the majors. Because he only went, 2 innings? Did he go a third? He did go a third. So he went 3 innings. All I know is whenever he was out, it took a minute for me to realize that it wasn't him. Jim said, "Oh, it's not Green." And I was like, "Oh, didn't even know." So, well, let's see a couple.
We didn't quite get to your, what'd you say, 4 home runs in the series?
I said 5 home runs. They got 4.
Yeah.
So, 2 solo shots today, couple homers yesterday, couple solo homers, right? No, that's not right. There was a solo homer in each of the other games. Cruz hit the solo homer on Friday, and Billy Cook last night, or yesterday afternoon. So 4 homers. Cruz with 2. Yeah. It kind of ticks me off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I get
they
that.
had a situation, right? They had an opportunity to go to get to the get back to the wins that they had last year, and it really just like kind of just sours the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So Shared mentions it's one thing that has done well this year is a starting rotation. Why take the risk with one week left? We didn't know Oviedo had an issue until the offseason. It's a good point. So we may not know until later. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's kind of upsetting at the same time. You want to talk corner outfield?
Yeah, let's get into it.
It's enough of that.
There's not much else
It's
to talk
enough
about
of
the
that.
series.
Yep, that's right. All right, let's see where we are. Let's talk corner outfield. And I did not I didn't pull this up before. So I don't have it down. So give me just a second here. Pull up the old rooster. Here we go. In the meantime, we have Steve Rogers, his 23rd career start, 9 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, from what Michael from 412 Double Play podcast has found. Hey, that's great, man. What's the ERA? You know what I mean? That's what we need to know. Because we got to know what Skeens can do here, because he's not going to go 9 innings. Like, this isn't. No. I mean, I guess that was just in the 70s, but that was 1974. So his ERA went up a little bit with those 4 runs. It's funny when like you start getting to a place for Skeens, and I know we wouldn't necessarily want to go back to Skeens here, but it's funny when you get to a place with Skeens where they stop talking about the first 23 starts. You stop talking about rookie stuff, and you start talking about, oh, well, these 2 numbers, well, those are like, that's the best ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you start saying like, oh, the start to a season, you know what I'm saying? And it's still rare air of any, you know what I mean? And you just start looking up these numbers, and I mean, what he's doing is incredible.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I don't even know what if you want to say, what does he have to do in this next start? If he goes 5 innings, you know, you could say, well, you could give up 3 runs in 5 innings and still be this historic. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be nice to know what he's working with there. So corner outfield, Jake, we've got obviously Brian Reynolds. We've got De La Cruz, Connor Joe. Pirate Queen's in here. She said, keep going on and on about Skeens. You won't see any complaints from me. It is crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I'm going to start repeating myself, though, unfortunately. So we don't want that. We've got De La Cruz, Brian Reynolds, Connor Joe, I said, Billy Cook. And then you go down and you've got Palacios and Sawinski. And I believe that's it. Right? It's so crazy because, like, you got Billy Cook listed as an infielder on the roster. It's just a mess. And you also have a little bit of Nick York, right? So you've got a little bit of Nick York there. So this is what you're looking at. Obviously, we know, as we started talking about last week, you've got the potential Brian Reynolds, who's open to going to first base. So I think when you think about that and you think about who we have, let's say he doesn't first, and then we'll entertain that in a second. You're going to go with Reynolds in left. You're going to go with Cruz in center. And then right field is still a little bit of a question mark because you've got 2 players who you believe, or at least let's say you've got 2 players who have the potential to run a platoon in right field, meaning Jack Sawinski and De La Cruz. Some sort of platoon, even though De La Cruz is actually better against righties maybe. But you also have Palacios, you have Billy Cook, you have Connor Joe. If you keep Billy Cook and Connor Joe, which maybe that's the first thing we talk about. Do you keep both of those guys?
No.
I should have known what your answer was.
It's not even that it's Connor Joe. It's that I like Billy Cook. I like him more than the other option. No matter who that other option's, what that other option's name is, that skill set, I like Billy Cook's better. And I just don't think there's a reason to keep both of those guys.
Right. Now, see, I definitely agree with that. I think if you've got corner, outfield, first base type guys, they're both there. They're both probably best as in a bench role. I'm not going to fight for Billy Cook to be a starter right now.
Right.
But also Billy Cook can help out in center field. So you've got a little more versatility there, a little younger. I think you've seen enough of Connor Joe to know that this is what you get. A couple hot months, overexposed, and then not good.
Yeah.
This year, a little bit worse than last year. I'm a little concerned that there's not even any trade. Like, there's nothing even to trade there. That this is just a non-tender, and he's out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Ron Cook says that Cook looks pretty good, and he and De La Cruz can split right field. I got to be honest. I mean, for my money, what we've seen from De La Cruz here in Pittsburgh so far, I mean, Jack Swinski has just as much of an opportunity to be an impact player as De La Cruz does. I mean, it's been bad.
Yeah.
So, and I just don't think that Billy Cook is going to be an everyday guy.
No.
I just don't see that. So I think that, letting Billy Cook be the guy who goes in for whoever's not in.
And I feel like he's going to have a knack for some pinch hit opportunities too.
Sure.
I don't know why. I just feel like I think he'll do decent at that role.
Okay. And obviously, like, as far as a major leaguer, he's still young. So, you don't know what there's going to be, if there's going to be any more pop show up, if there's going to be something else, you know what I'm saying? He's a little bit on the older side, but it's there. But I just, I would still say that's more of I think he helps out playing some first base and playing some outfield. I think he's in playing center field. I think he's that backup for all of that. You know what I mean? Probably more so left and center, because if they run a platoon, you just typically run a platoon.
Yeah.
You just got to see it from those two guys. So I guess it's a first thing right here. I'm sitting here saying Jack Swinski, Brian De La Cruz, this possible platoon. It's also possible they show up in spring training and neither player is any good still. So, like, how do you prepare for that?
Yeah.
What do you do in the off season, or since we're trying not to go too far in the off season. Right. Do you feel like there's something you should do in the off season to address that? Or do you what does that look like? Or do you say, we believe in these players, and then you can't end up with that hole? Or you say, like, well, if it doesn't work mid-season, we can make a move there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, it's going to be one of them positions that you either wait and see, or, oh man, how do I say, like, if there's an opportunity for a legit upgrade, you jump on it. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm a big Sawinski fan. I think we're both Sawinski fans on here, so we want to see him succeed. But it would be hard to pass up like a good trade, or if somebody comes to you and they're like, "Hey, we got this guy," and you're like, "That's an obvious upgrade."
Yeah. Well, right now, Jake, that's the other thing is, like, I can't. What's up, Brian? You see, you made it. I can't rely, as much as I want Jack to do well, right? I can't rely on that. Not after this year, and he doesn't have enough of a track record for me to rely on that.
Sure.
If he gets a chance, I believe it's still there. I don't think that you just lose 26 homers, but it's just, I can't rely on it. I can't depend on that. I can't go into my offseason saying, we don't need anything for right field because we've got those guys. Now, Sherrod just said he wanted to see Palacios more this year. Do you feel that Palacios maybe has any of that? Like, oh, if Sawinski's not there, maybe Palacios. He has heated up a little bit, but in AAA.
Right.
So, I don't know. Ron brings up
that.
Hold on one second. Ron brings up that Joe and Triolo are gone for the minors. I don't know that Joe. If Joe's here, he's a major leaguer. He's not going to the minors. I don't think Connor Joe goes to AAA.
That's what he's saying. He's saying they're traded for minor leaguers.
Oh, thank you for clearing it up. So Taylor's gone free agency. You're saying that Joe and Triolo are traded for minor leaguers. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. I think I'm with Jim here. I don't see Palacios surviving the 40-man. I don't see a trade for him either, since I'm bringing that up, just because of the fact that there's just nothing there. And same thing with Joe. I don't know. But there you go, Ron confirming. I just totally read it wrong. Yeah. So, Ryan, I'll say this too. Ryan says he needs a chance under someone other than Haynes. He might be talking about Jack Sawinski here since we were going on about Jack Sawinski. That could be true, but everybody in the organization is under Andy Haynes.
Yeah.
And so at the major league level, what Andy Haynes does poorly is the extended slumps. A major league hitting coach for day in and day out responsibility is get guys out of slumps. Essentially, you know what I mean? Like, it's the way I look at it. Like if you have prolonged slumps, that shows that's on the hitting coach a lot of times. Like that's your job. But Andy Haynes' job is also like the coordinator of hitting development for the whole entire organization. And so when you see guys like, well, for instance, Jack Sawinski and Palacios, who got out of slumps while they were in AAA, that was from day-to-day work from guys that were the hitting coaches there. But the organization, wait, no way. Is this real? Hold on. Hold the press. Jim just put in there, Reds just fired David Bell. Is this real? If you're pulling my leg. Actually, that's one of the only things I say when people tell me Derek Shelton's the worst manager in MLB. I'm like, well, hold on. David Bell still has a job. So I don't know. I got to find this.
I'm gonna say something real quick while you're looking that up. With the whole Sawinski thing, as a fan, I'm rooting for Jack Sawinski. Ben Sherrington's not allowed to be a fan, right? He's got to look at what's in front of him. He's got to make decisions on all that stuff. So it's not. I don't. That's why I said if there's a clear upgrade, you take it. Even though I'd like to see a scenario where Jack Sawinski's our right fielder and hitting 25 to 30 homers. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do as a GM.
Yeah, 100%. I'm seeing it. It's everywhere. Yep. David Bell fired. I can't believe he lasted this long. But I guess what's that tell you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's that tell you? Man. Whew. I actually, literally, I just texted Jeff. I'm like, dude, I'm live and I'm texting you right now. But, yeah, I agree with that totally. So let's go on to left field then. Because you mentioned something earlier about right field when you said that if even with the guys that are there, if you have an opportunity, you take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the Brian Reynolds and the possible move to first base kind of comes into play. There probably won't be many opportunities at first base.
Right.
There just aren't a whole lot of players available. There you go. Sorry. Another interruption here to talk about Steve Rogers in the Paul Skeens conversation. Steve Rogers had a 2.01 ERA after his 23rd game. It pays to go 9 innings, man. So there's not much room there. There's not much room. Even gave up 4 runs and still, you know what I mean? That's because he's probably going 9 innings every start.
Right.
He probably had a lot more innings at that point than Skeens has. Crazy. Ron says, the Pirates have a worse record than the Reds. What's hold up on our end? Pirates, you know what? I'm not going to say that. I was going to say Pirates don't do that during the season that much, but like, I know there was only 1 game left when the Clint Hurdle thing happened. But like even then, like the Reds don't fire their managers that off. Like they just, especially if their last name's Bell, like they don't want to do that. It's all in the family there. Anyway. So if you have opportunities in left field, whether it be trade, free agency, whatever it is, I mean, we know that there's Tyler Oneil, and that's kind of like the absolute top as far as what I think they would even possibly entertain. Santander is going to be out there, but there's no possible way.
Right.
And then I'm trying to think like Teoscar Hernandez should be available, which that would be,
That'd be a weird one too. You couldn't get him.
You couldn't get Teoscar Hernandez?
Not to play our left field.
Oh.
He's not a very good defensive outfielder. And you put him in our left field.
Okay, but Brian Reynolds is the worst in the league right now as far as the numbers? So, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the...
Yeah.
I said something to Jim today at the game. When do we start looking at Tarek Brock? When do we start thinking about maybe our outfield coach isn't that good? How do we have so many outfielders that aren't good?
I feel like if you looked around, there's a lot of outfielders who aren't very good right now.
It's because they're all infielders playing outfield.
No, those are the better ones. I mean, you got your power guys that just go play the outfield, and they're not very good. But they hit bombs. So what are you going to do? You're
going to take the bombs.
Right.
So I don't know. But I think that those are just free agents. We didn't even dip into the trades, right? So like there are also like that's impossible, right? That you're not going to look at that and see. But Sherrod says, what coaches are good? To a certain point, right? It's on the players. It's on them. Yeah. They have to be better. But there are things that a coach should be able to do. And you know what I mean? That they are like there to do. And it's not, like I said, get out of slumps, figure out why you're not pitching well. I mean, we just had like Uncle Ray used to just say, oh, move a couple inches on the rubber. And it seemed like, there was more to it than that. But they'd always be like, well, we moved him on the rubber a little bit. And all of a sudden he went from, you know what I mean? Like, come on. You know that it's more than that. But the point is those are the types of things that you would think that coaches could be doing. An outfield coach, I guess, I mean, studying film, getting out in the outfield and talking about there is only so much a coach can do.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like jumps and things like that. Routes, I think you could do a little, you could, there's some things you could do. But
positioning
is big.
I don't even necessarily mean like, hey, 2 steps over, all that stuff. I'm like teaching how to get into the right position to make throws, when you want to, all that kind of stuff. That is coachable. As far as reading the ball off the bat is not coachable.
Right.
It's just experience in the player, whether he can do it or not.
Yeah. But there is something to be said about the fact that like the coaching staff here, there just seems to be a lot of things that we look at. Ron says it here. I've said it many times. Good players deserve good coaches, and the Pirates ain't got good coaches. So he's not buying it. Speaking of coaches, is Shelton the longest tenured manager in the NL Central? What about, because St. Louis changed. Schilt or whatever, and Marmol. So yeah, that's going to change though. It has to.
I agree. I'm ready to move on.
I'm not going to hold my breath, but we were talking about today. It's a culture thing. That room next year, this team this year was supposed to be better than this. And I'm not, like I said, I wasn't putting them in the playoffs, but they should have been better than what they are right now. There's a bad smell in that clubhouse. And if you don't get rid of everything, that smell's still there. And you can't get rid of players necessarily. There will be players you can get rid of, but you're going to still have your core. They're going to come back and they're going to see a lot of things the same. And if it's Derek Shelton and I'm not going to call out all the coaches here, but if you come in there with the same coaching staff, minus Andy Haynes, who I don't think has a shot to return, but if you go in there with the same coaching staff, minus Andy Haynes, it's still going to smell like 2024. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think you change the room. I think you got to move things around.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
We didn't really close out the corner outfield discussion there.
No,
thanks to David Bell. But David Bell.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
This is fine.
We're on task. Yeah.
I honestly, I think the corner outfield, we have options, but I think it's open. I think it's open for competition. It's open for moves. That's where I'm at on corner outfield.
Yeah.
I think if they somehow come across an option for first base, then Reynolds stays in the outfield. If they don't come across an option for first base, I think you're going to see him transition over the offseason.
Regardless of what happens in the outfield, I think that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens in the outfield, you could see them say, we couldn't get a first baseman, so Reynolds is going to see a lot of first base, maybe still some outfield, but a lot of first base.
I mean, you could see a scenario where maybe Jack does figure something out. Maybe Jack comes in looking really good. He becomes our left fielder. And then you have De La Cruz and Cook or whatever else you want to do out in right field. I don't know.
Yeah. Jim says, I think a big trade has to come this offseason. Ortiz on the block for a bat. We talked about this last week. Make Ortiz or Falter. It's hard Falter because Falter's your only lefty. So it's hard to make him available. But we talked about this when we talked about starting pitching. We said, if you go out and you sign a number 5 starting pitcher, a reliable guy, like a veteran guy who you know is going to be out there and you don't have to worry about innings, like a number 4 or a number 5. I mean, really, with this rotation, you're really looking for a number 5. You know what I'm saying? But somewhere in that range, and then then open it up to talk about Ortiz, to talk about some of these guys, to maybe, now that you've got a guy that you can rely on to throw and to eat innings, how do you move forward there with maybe saying, okay, well, we've got a lot of arms now, so let's move an arm to help with either first base or corner outfield. Or, my goodness, we'll talk about shortstop someday.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple people. Bucko Mike says
same thing.
Nick Gonzalez in right field. I've seen some people. I think if you're going to move somebody to right field in that scenario, it's going to be Nick York. He's already played some corner outfield. You know what I'm saying? And if you put Nick Gonzalez out there, you're going to have to put somebody at second, obviously. And Nick York seems to be the one that we're all in love with right now. So I could see that. I don't necessarily see Nicky G moving to the outfield. That just doesn't seem to make any sense. He's a good second baseman. Defensively, he's a good second baseman.
I don't know why people are on moving Nick Gonzalez.
Right. If Nick Gonzalez is going to hit, like if he's going to be in the lineup, he's a good second baseman. There's no point in moving him. The only question I would have with Nick Gonzalez is whether or not he's good enough to stay in the lineup, which I think he is. But you know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing you're more concerned about, not whether or not he can handle second base. I mean, he's played a good shortstop every time he's been there. He doesn't range well enough, and the arm's probably not quite a shortstop arm, but he's a good, I don't know. I don't really know why everybody talked about how terrible of a fielder he was. I've never seen him really be bad.
To me. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. And the way he has a knack for driving in runs, and I think he stays alive. It's just he shouldn't be batting leadoff ever.
No, I hate that too. Yeah.
I mean, he should be batting like 6.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you get the team together the way it should be, and he's able to be a 6 or 7 hitter where he's just driving in runs. You're going to get the best version of Nick Gonzalez you can get at that point,
right? Well, and also
this is a completely different. This is a big rabbit trail, though.
Right.
So,
and a leadoff hitter should see pitches, and Nick Gonzalez shouldn't.
Yeah.
But Nick Gonzalez gets down 0-2. You pretty much got him. Like let's let him hit the first couple. So we don't need him to look at stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't need him to look at stuff. I think we know who this is. Vince. Okay. Yeah. So Bucko Mike, I see you say Cook, Cruz, right field. I'm still saying pump the brakes on Cook being a starter right now.
Yeah.
I'm just, you know what I mean? Just pump the brakes on Cook right now to being a starter, and then maybe. But right now, I don't see it. Bucko Mike says Gonzalez played outfield until college. That's interesting. So maybe there is something there. But
he looks pretty good at second, so I'm leaving him where he is.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. He can play second, and there's not anybody else who is hitting and forcing themselves in the lineup that's going to move him off second.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even say IKF is forcing himself as a starter at second base. As we continue to talk about corner outfielders, I guess it's still relevant. I think the idea is when we say, where are we? Then this is 100% a position of need. When it looked like we were going into the offseason with maybe center field and first base as our positions, a lot to like about Cruz in center now. That opens up shortstop as a position, even though I still believe they might just stick with IKF, and I think it'll be a big mistake, and we'll all yell about it into microphones. And, but whatever happens there, you're saying something has to change. It's going to change over. Like last year, I didn't see much corner outfield as an upgrade must. I thought you got Sawinski and you got Reynolds, and boy, how things can change in a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they need to add a corner outfield bat because I don't think there's one at first base. I mean, shoot, maybe both. If you end up with a right fielder and a first baseman and you got Reynolds still in left field, I think you deal with that. Or no matter what, left field, right? And then you move Reynolds to right.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That would even be acceptable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there. That's where I'm at with it. Let's go ahead.
I get that. I do. I just something about it right now. It just seems like it's almost inevitable that Reynolds is going to move to first. I think he kind of, when they talked to him about it a little bit, I think he kind of seemed like it was a move that he was kind of interested in.
Certainly down the road. Now, let me ask you this, just as an exercise, okay? Mm-hmm. We always knew, I think both of us probably agreed on it, that the eventual home for Oneil Cruz was going to be in the outfield. Mm-hmm. I would even specifically say right field. I didn't think it'd be this soon for him to go to the outfield. The fact that it is this soon means center field is more of an option, and it's, like I said, going well. But even if first base is an eventual home for Brian Reynolds. There's no need to like rush it if you find a first baseman somehow. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
Same thing with Cruz. Like, obviously, like, here's the deal. Like, I'm all on board with him being a center fielder, but when they made the move, I was kind of like, man. And I still say there have been several plays since Cruz has moved to the outfield that we've said, you and I, back and forth, we've said Cruz would have made that play. Cruz would have thrown that guy out. Jim said the same thing to me at the game today. He's seen several plays, several relays specifically, as he was talking about, that would have been outs if it was Cruz instead of IKF. And those are run-saving plays. Like, that's either a run scoring or a run not scoring. And so, like, there was a little bit of that. Like, yes, I believe that somebody's eventual home is here. I think you could say that for a lot of players in the outfield, that their eventual home could be first base, or else they don't play anymore. You know what I mean? Like, some guys just say, well, if I don't go in and play first base, I'm going to retire. Or DH, right? Like we're seeing a little bit. And so, like, there is some pieces of that. But yeah, that's my thing, is like, yes, even if it is eventual, it doesn't necessarily have to be right away. It all depends on who becomes available and who they're able to actually cross the finish line in the offseason with, right? Talk about our number one criticism of last offseason. You were close on a lot of guys, but you have to be able to get the deal done.
Yeah, but I feel like moving to first base is going to create Reynolds, as much as he uses his legs to plate, man. I just see that move unlocking something with him. I see more power potential. Move to first base, not running around all the time. I mean, Josh, you played outfield, you get it. Running to the outfield in between innings, it's exhausting. And I know it's like they're in tip-top shape. I get it, but
well, it's different when you're doing it
out there. You're doing it every single day. It's so much. And I think, I don't know. I just think that's going to be something that now that they have it in his head, I think he's going to like it. And I think he might want it.
Right.
And if he does, and if he wants it, and I think he'll be fine there. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
But then I can see him like getting a little bit more meat on his bones, just I see there'd be power.
I don't know about that. He's like he takes very good care of himself. I don't know if he'll get much bigger.
Stronger. Like,
yeah, I know, but it's possible.
Yeah.
I think he likes to be,
I see what you're saying,
where he's at. Like he's already very particular about that. So I don't think it has to, though. I think the fact that going to first base, having your legs under you more often it's gonna add the power automatically if he continues to take care of himself.
Down he sinks into them legs when he hits, and he talks about that all the time.
Right. Yep. Mike says the lineup needs an outside bat somewhere. They cannot go into the season trying to fill their lineup with all internal options. They need a legitimate starting player in the outfield or at first. This is exactly what we're saying. And here's the thing. I even believe that individuals who've had bad seasons and, whatever, or even De La Cruz, part of a bad season, right, since he's been here. But one thing that you can get from Jack Sawinski and Brian De La Cruz, if they work, is power. And power is expensive, and those two players aren't. And so they will give them as many opportunities as they can. And I'm not saying this is necessarily, if you have to have an opportunity, if you can have an opportunity to acquire a player that is going to make that happen, I think it needs to happen. But it's that whole thing. It's like, yes, if this was 2023, I'm not even touching it. I'm going with those two guys, and I'm trying to make one of them a good player.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not 2023, right? This 2025, we're going into the year that is supposed to be a playoff year, and they did not do a good job this year of using it as a stepping stone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They already didn't do a good job. And because of that, I think you need to do more in the offseason, not trust the process. You actually need to say, crap, we've screwed up a little bit. We need to go another step further. I'm just checking some of these quotes here, and then we'll wrap it up here. What do you got? Queen says, curious to see what the outfield will look like next year. Cruz in center, but to your point here, but we really don't know what those corners are going to end up looking like. Yeah. You have ideas, but like you just don't know. It could be two brand new players on the corners, and man,
Cody Bellinger could hold down left field.
Yeah. I think he's played a lot. He's played more like center and right.
Yeah.
So
it's fine. He's an athlete.
But still, that's actually a really good question, because I've even said Cody Bellinger in the past, but I always said I'd move him to first base and he'd win a Gold Glove there. But now I don't know, with the whole Reynolds interested and Bellinger being, a better outfielder. I think that's there. Cheryl says, came in a few minutes late. Why is Reynolds considered a poor outfielder? Very few errors and one of the more consistent players on our team. I was not a Major League Baseball player. I was never going to be a Major League Baseball player. I made 0 errors in my high school career. Okay. Like, outfield errors are somewhat hard to do, in my opinion. Like, it's just hard to make an error. So a lot of what you see from outfielders, and when you see whether or not they're a poor outfielder or not, it doesn't necessarily equal errors. What it means is they're either getting to balls that no one else is getting to, which makes them great, or they're not getting to balls that other people do get to. So Reynolds actually, especially early, some of his defensive metrics looked good, but that's because he was leading the league in outfield assists because he's got a really good arm. And so he was making up for a lot of other things. Just like the other day, he misplays a ball in left field and ends up throwing the guy out at second, trying to stretch it into a double. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, great play, probably could have just been a catch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he made, like I said, it wasn't necessarily an error, but it was a ball that could have been caught. Mm-hmm. So I think that plays a lot. And it's just a lot of the numbers. I don't always subscribe to analytics and like advanced metrics when it comes to defense, because I think sometimes it's pretty misleading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of layers to defense. You can't, you just look at the whole picture, but you have to include eye test as well. Mm-hmm. And sometimes Reynolds passes the eye test, but when everything else, like you, but
I've been saying that the whole time. He doesn't look that bad in the outfield.
Yeah.
I think the defensive metrics kind of hit him hard.
But when you notice it and you're watching for it, you do see some of them. You're like, there's good plays, and then there's plays where you're like, oh yeah, that was not good. You know what I mean? And those are the ones that probably scream the loudest to those. So we got some going back and forth. Here we go. Rather have Roger Dorn at third over Hayes, says Bucko Mike.
Bucko Mike, we weren't even talking about third. So.
Well, that he's making some comments to. There's a little bit
going on to bring it up.
Yeah, he had to. That's all right. That's all right. I think that this offseason is what I'll call critical. Mm-hmm. And it's this corner outfield group. And I'm going to include first base. A lot of times they go hand in hand anyway. When do we actually talk first base? Probably. We can move it up to next week and just keep this going. Not for a while. During the postseason, we talk first base. So, which the Pirates aren't involved in, by the way, the postseason. Not involved. Ron says, also, let's not forget York, because we have said this. Like, York he has played some outfield. So it is also like, if he hits his way into the lineup and third base is not an option and second base is not an option. But they went into the came out of the offseason with Sawinski and De La Cruz, and they're not hitting again. York could play his way into that outfield mix.
Yeah.
before IKF or Triolo would. And I bring up those two in particular because those are the two that are, hopefully looking for a spot. IKF might be at short, but you know what I'm saying? But Triolo, if he's not playing third because Hayes is hurt and Triolo's hitting, he's not playing right field. He's just going to fill in.
Right.
So if Nick York can hit his way in, that is a possibility to go to a corner outfield spot. So as is Cook. Like I've said a couple times here that not to get ahead of ourselves with Cook, but like if he comes out and he's raking, like he's gonna get a starting job.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be crazy if he comes out and he plays like 2.5 months really hot and then struggles the rest of the year. If so, this whole Connor Joe comp is scary. If he ends up looking like the same type of player. So yeah, it's Bucko Mike saying routes as far as Reynolds too. Not covering 51 feet in 5 seconds is Reynolds' best outfield play of the year. So I get it. Mike says same thing. Outfield range factor is way more important than errors, and his isn't very good. So, yep, that's it. Bucko Mike, this is actually, you guys need a rest. Josh Cataracts are reforming after watching this crappy play. I did drive like 2.5 hours, a little over 2.5 hours down to Cincinnati today, and about 3 hours back because of traffic coming out of there. And 71, dude, 71 is 2 lanes for so long, and you just never leave the left lane. So you're just going to go as fast as people are going. And for about 10 miles, that was 60 in a 70. So it just took so long. And it was raining the whole time. So yeah, actually, Cataracts, not the Cataract, the one that has the new lens is just, it's not quite there. The vision's not good. It's not 2020.
Yeah.
But anyway, 71 is terrible. It's always construction too. Of course, that's Ohio in general.
Yeah.
That's Ohio in general. All right, man, this is, what's that? Go ahead.
No, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it, he said. All right, let's get out of here. This is a good one. Thanks again, guys, for being active in the chat. Thanks for waiting a little bit with us and staying up late for a little late night bucking. Skeens gets the win today to save us from the sweep. But other than that, pretty crappy weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, me and Jake will be at 2 of the games this week.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday. It will be at the park. So if anybody's going, let us know.
Yeah, hit us up.
Let us know. We'll see you there. It might rain.
I hope not.
Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.